So the first one was wordy, like strange wordy. We want to estimate mu, the true mean rating of difficulty, and I just went word for word everything with problems on a 7-point single ease question. Adding a channel on their cable TV to a list of favorites for all users who attempted to add a channel on their cable TV to a list of favorites. That's like super wordy with 95% confidence. If I'm talking about that in pieces, the type part would be the what of this scenario. The population. The other part is just defining what the mu is. It's just really strangely worded. Plan. This is a one sample. You're choosing T. Why are you choosing T? Because sigma is unknown. So we use, if we have sigma, we use Z. If we don't have sigma, we have to use S, and then we use T. So it is a one sample T interval for means that sigma is unknown. Our conditions. First condition is random. It is stated a random sample, which is randomly selected. The histogram, I didn't realize until fourth period that I forgot this was terrible. And I tried to send y'all something, but hopefully I didn't spend too much time on that. What do we usually write beside of histogram of values? That it's fairly symmetrical and no extreme outliers. But we talked about this a little bit yesterday with the robustness. Does it have to be perfectly symmetrical? No. So we're looking at it's not terrible. So sometimes I write this way instead. So instead of being like, the example I did yesterday actually was fairly symmetrical. If it's not fairly symmetrical and it kind of pains you to write that, you might want to write no strong skew instead. Now, I do see a skew here. I wish I wouldn't have chosen this example, but you guys get the picture of what we're doing here. So if I were checking it, I'd be checking to make sure it has no strong skew and no extreme outliers. Yeah, there's a little bit of skew there, but we're going to continue for right now. So we can use normal approximation. Remember, your histogram of values needs to be your title label, and you need some numbers down here. I wrote all of them out, just showing you which X scale I used. So then independent 10% condition, which is capital N being greater than or equal to 10 lowercase n, which gives us 140. This one is one of those where I would probably choose to write the word assume because we don't really know. So assuming that at least 140 people actually did rate the difficulty on a 7-point single ease question of adding a channel such and such for the given population. Questions about conditions. Like I said, wording would have been probably more annoying than anything else at that part. All right, so for this problem, how do I get X bar? And so how do you do that in your calculator? Where do you go in your calculator? Put them in a list in one variable stat. So you get your X bar and your S out of there. I went to 4 decimals with those. Some of you might not have, and that's fine. If you went to different decimal values, you're going to get slightly different decimal values down here. How do we get T star? Confidence level and degrees of freedom. So you're on your purple sheet. You're looking at the bottom at 95. You're looking on the right at degrees of freedom of 13. And then you see where those line up, which should be 2.160. And then so this is X bar plus or minus T star. That's S and not sigma over square root n. Plug in our numbers. I wrote points down here. I probably should have written it here too. You should get about between 2.4238 points and 5.1476 points, depending on how you rounded for your X bar and your S. That might be off by a little bit. And then wording, we're 95% confident the mu, the true mean rating, difficulty on a 7-point single ease question of adding channel on their cable TV to a list of favorites for the given population will fall between 2.4238 points and 5.1476 points. Questions about any part of this? Do you feel that I need to write these out instead? Or are you okay with? I feel like at this point we're a little bit okay with just going through them and not having me write it out. I think it's just a time-consuming thing at this point. All right, so number 2. How is number 2 different than number 1? You were given sigma. So does anything change with state? No. We want to estimate mu, the true mean amount owed on all delinquent credit card accounts for this bank with 99% confidence. If I ask this separately, what would our population be? And I didn't ask it separately. We define it within. But just being able to read that, you should be able to tell me what is our population. All delinquent credit card accounts for this bank. What is the measure that we are trying to acquire for that population? The mean amount owed. So this is a one sample Z interval for means. It's really light there. Since sigma is given or known. Random, this one was stated random sample, which is random selection. What method are we using for normal in this one? Central limit theorem, so I need to see the word central limit theorem somewhere. You don't have to write it exactly like this. Most of you aren't going to write since n is large enough. You're going to do something about n being 100 and 100 being greater than or equal to 30. So central limit theorem, we can use normal approximation. Independent 10% condition, capital N is greater than or equal to 10n. What is our n in this case? What's our lowercase n? So what do I do with 100? Multiply it by 10, which gives me 1,000. So this is assuming there are at least
1,000 individuals in the population.
Which and you could, if you define your population, you could say that, or 1,000 delinquent credit card accounts for this bank. Now here, I have two things written off. I have one written here, and then these numbers written off to the side.
How do you find the Z again?
I'll show you in a second, but let me talk about this too. It'll kind of answer it. We talked about this briefly yesterday. Why would someone choose 2.575 as their answer for Z? Because they use the yellow sheet, and it is exactly between 2.57 and 2.58. Why would someone choose 2.576 as their Z? That's what it is on the blue sheet at the bottom, where it says 99%. For infinity above that, it's 2.576. Is either one of these wrong? No, I'm just showing you what you would have gotten for each one.
Wait, but if you're using yellow sheet, that's when you draw it. And then
Theoretically, yes.
0.5. But then what other thing would you go to?
You would go to 0.005.
0.005.
And it's exactly between negative 2.58 and negative 2.57. 0.005. You're fine in the middle. And you should get a lower bound of about $1,981. Now, dollars we usually do to 2 decimals. Is that wrong to write that we're being more specific than just to 2 decimals? No, your gas is actually written as something that is not just 2 decimals. The price of gas per gallon is not rounded. So people always think that you can't do that. You can do that. It's fine. And the value that we're estimating is mu, which is in the middle. So if you use 2.575, these are the numbers you should have gotten. If you use 2.576, these should be the numbers that you got. And then we are 99% confident that mu, the true mean amount owed on all delinquent credit card accounts for this bank, will fall between $1,981.165 and $2,278.835. Questions on any of 1 or 2? Just so this is the video. I told you didn't need to do number 3. If for some reason you did it or you want to do it, I'm at least going slow enough through this so that if you wanted to do it as practice and you wanted to go look at it, You have it here as an option. It's the only reason I'm scrolling through it. And then number 4, the rearranged would be z times sigma divided by margin of error. But why do I just have 2 things here and not divided by anything? What is our margin of error in this? 1, so divided by 1, I just didn't write it there. So if you use, regardless of whether you use 2.575 or 2.576, it's going to give you 59 point something. Is 59 enough? No. Can you interview half of a person? No. So you have to go up to the next whole number. So you need to do at least, oh man, I cut off my equal to. So you have to do at least 60. So your answer is your lowercase n has to be at least 60. And then this is number 6. We did this one during class yesterday. Remember, what?
Margin of error, was it stated in the problem, or did we have to?
Margin of error stated in the problem. For that kind of problem, margin of error is always stated in the problem. It'll usually say like within.
So what?
It was within 1, and so I just didn't divide by 1.
Oh, okay.
Questions with any of the homework?